Oh boy, it's that time of year again.
I know, the holiday is almost here.
No, dummy, tunes for tots.
Gotta dig deep with them. Don't know if I'll sink or swim. Always standing in the loser circle, cause I know I'll never.
The 7th annual Tunes for Tots matinee show, hosted by Losers Circle, is December 7th at the Midway Cafe in Jamaica Plains. Make a difference this holiday season by donating an unwrapped toy while listening to some of the best bands from the area. This year's show includes KCUF, No Change, and Lesser Devils with special guests One Fall. Tunes for Tots is on December 7th at the legendary Midway Cafe in Jamaica Plains. Doors open at 3 p.m. All gifts and donations go directly to the Toys for Tots program.
You're listening to the Struggling Artist Podcast.
People need to be entertained. They need the distraction.
With your host, Trev Allen.
I wish to God that somebody would do something to block out the voices in my head for 5 minutes.
All right, everybody, before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to, announcements or something like that. A lot of these episodes you're going to be hearing over the next few weeks, we recorded at least a month or prior before the election and the disappointment of our own country. I'm not much of a political person, but I don't shy away from things like that, and I don't ignore them with the podcast, right? If it comes up in a conversation in the future, of course, we'll talk about it. We did that in 2020 with the civil unrest, with George Floyd protests and all that stuff. But I don't want you all to think like I'm just ignoring things, but these were all recorded like a while ago. I hope everyone's doing okay. I'm struggling with my own things going on with the election results and just the state of society and in our country and like how I feel about humanity right now. But I'm still here, and if anyone needs anybody to talk to, or if anyone needs any help with anything, just hit me up, Trev at thestrugglingartistpodcast.com. So I don't know, we may do a struggling with ourselves episode over this. I haven't decided yet. I don't know. I don't know if I really want to do that, but if someone emails in, I'm going to address it. But anyway, so this episode and the next 4 or 5 were all recorded like a month prior to today, or at least a month. I think there's one that was recorded in the summertime and it's just coming out like the beginning of December. So anyway, I hope you all are well and hang in there. Community, what I'm always talking about, right? Community is what gets us through these things. So yeah. Enjoy the podcast. Hello, everybody. Today, our guest is Arya Rad from Coffin, Salesman. He's come back to the show to talk about the band's new album, Dream of Fire. And we sat down and just had this conversation. It was really good. A lot of fun. I love doing podcasts in real life and not just remotely. The only drawback to that is I don't get video. But that's okay, because I had a blast talking with Arya. And this is the end result of that. Stick around to the end of the episode to hear a song from Coffin Salesman's new record, Dream of Fire. Sorry, hold on. Because if I say in the intro, that means I'm going to do the intro. But this is a milestone episode. I'm pumped. And what I mean by that is this is episode 300 of the Struggling Artist Podcast. Struggling with the return of Coffin Salesman. On there now.
Okay, we're on the air.
We're on the air, yeah.
At the Struggling Artist Podcast. live from Sailor's Mansion. That's what I sometimes call this when I record stuff at home, put it on Bandcamp, because there's a bunch of like bad wood paneling in my room, and there was like this old like sea ship thing on the light bulb, and it's dumb, and that's just what I thought.
I was thinking the other day about when was the last time you were on the pod, like on like the normal podcast.
Yeah, I think it's 2021.
Yeah, right? It was like when we first met, right?
Yeah. We didn't know each other at all.
Yeah.
Like I'd never seen you in person.
I was so terrified of that interview at first because
you're like, this dude's fucked up.
No, because like I loved your music, like because I had gotten it in the record club from Mark, right?
Yeah.
So and I was just like, this stuff is like, and then like I was like, this is so good, and then like Birth of Flies came out, and I understood what you were doing with it. You know what I mean? How it was like a completely different kind of thing.
Not a lot of people did.
But I was like, this is like. I was like, this is like the tool of like doom folk. Like I was like, I gotta figure this out. Like, you know, but and I remember Mike was just like, relax, Arya's good people.
Nice. Yeah, my hope is that the more music I put out, the more the vision will come into focus.
Yeah.
It seems very disorganized, but I'm hoping.
No, I don't think
I think the more that's there, the more it zones in.
So I mean, a lot of the stuff. So all I knew of was the first record, right? At first, and then after, like, you know, and then when I came home, and things started rolling with the podcast, and like, you know, Birth of Flies came out. I think I bought the cassette for Birth of Flies, and like what was it one? Western Shore, was that one of them?
Yeah.
Was that before the album?
That was a little before.
Yeah. All right. So you could kind of hear like the evolution of the sound that you are now through the beginning. Like
there was I forget what we talked about the first time, so I don't want to like.
No, I don't think.
But
it's been so long. Yeah.
Like so, there was originally like an EP demo that was mostly like more singer-songwritery, and then by the time we did like the first full record, it started to be like, oh, now this is something else. And that first EP was interesting because in some ways it's a very full circle moment for me coming back to where we are now.
Yeah.
Because I was recording it for a while, and me and Ryan Kumi, who plays guitar in Coffin Salesman, we were playing accordion together, and I was just playing solo. We play accordion sometimes. And this was in 2016. And then one day I was hanging out, we were just jamming, and I was like, hey, I was thinking about like calling this thing Coffin Salesman maybe. Because I originally had an idea. I was like, oh, I want to do at least one really negative, unpleasant record called Coffin Salesman. It'll be Aria Rad, and the record will be Coffin Salesman. And then...
Did you do that, though? Did you?
No.
Okay.
So what happened is we're in 2016, and then in the shadow of the 2016 election, I think I felt a little more antagonism and a little more intensity and negativity. And it was good because I was like, oh, you know what? It was sort of a line in the sand for me where it's like, oh, I don't want to be, I could be singer-songwriter person, or I could make a thing that approaches the world in like a whole different way. In some ways, I wish I made the wrong choice. I was like, oh, I could have been a singer-songwriter with like my friends play behind me and they just do like the train beat, and it's cool. Like that was my vision for the whole thing. And then I was like, oh, this could go to like a new place.
Yeah.
And fast forward 2024, we're in a I don't think you could ever expect like what's been happening historically, culturally in the past decade.
Yeah.
But it feels like I'm like, oh, I'm putting out this record that feels to me of the moment it belongs in. We're like approaching. I try to approach the work with kind of like a. I don't know what to say that isn't negative. but I think there's a streak of that through all of the Coffin Salesman stuff. There's, and probably not forever, but there's like an angry streak, a bitter streak, a negative streak. And this record I had been working on, like before the pandemic, and I really wanted to do this cataclysmic, apocalyptic record. That was like the next thing on my list. And then I kind of went the opposite way, whereas during the pandemic, I was not productive. I couldn't write very much.
I hated when people were like, this should be the time where you artists should be shining. Like, come on, man.
I mean,
there's a lot of bad shit going on out there.
I think everyone's experience during that time is valid. So it's like, there were people just popping out stuff. It was amazing. And then there were some people who like I didn't really do much. I did like one EP in a really short period of time and then just sort of sat around. I tried to write, nothing good came.
Yeah.
And that was kind of okay. In some ways, like readjusting has been, it's sort of what I thought would happen, is that going back to the world would be like extremely difficult. And then you'd get culturally gaslit into believing like what you experienced never happened. Yeah. Whereas like most days I wake up and I'm like, you know what, if it was 2020, like I was in a privileged position where like my life would be straightforward, you know? Like we had this attitude that, oh, you make it through the day. You didn't get anybody sick. You didn't get sick. You're doing great. Yeah.
Like
it was very simple. It was like, hey, just be a person today. You don't need to get anything done. Wake up. Don't get anybody sick. And you're a winner. Yeah. And I always knew they would throw that message away immediately.
Right.
And so like some of the apocalyptic ideas stopped being interesting to me. Like this concept record about a disease taking over the world and evil rising from the ashes suddenly did not seem like I didn't really feel that interested in that kind of thing. And so some of those apocalyptic ideas took like a different shape by the time I actually started getting into the songs, like when we started playing again. And it wasn't really until like I started playing with the band again that I started writing more for this.
So I know you played my house. That was the first time we actually met, right? In person was when you played my house.
I think that was like the first time I had played in that period of time.
Yeah, in that stretch, right? Because that was late 2021.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Because we I think it was late 2021 when we did that, or 2022, one or the other. But yeah, so like
I have a list we could check.
Yeah, I know you do. You outshine me with the lists, and it makes me mad because it
was mostly like a regret thing because in my old band there's so many memories that you can't rely on your memory for.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I wish I knew that stupid show we played with that stupid band. Like, where was that? When was that?
Yeah.
And you're just guessing. They all kind of run together.
Yeah.
And so, like at the beginning of this, I'm like, I'm writing everyone down.
I remember after you did the house show, I would be like, hey, because I had the recording. I still have the recordings from it, and I was like, what song was this? And you're like, oh, that's not anywhere yet.
There's still some of those songs that aren't.
I don't think that one's any. I don't think that one's still not anywhere.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
and it still isn't. And that's kind of okay with me.
Yeah.
Because I kind of bucket my songs like until there's like a specific sort of project in mind.
Exactly.
They all have like a place to go.
You could do like the singles collection at some point and just
there'll be a B-sides collection at some point. There's some. They're the one major key song on the first record we axed. And I always knew like I wanted to record it, but I knew we weren't going to put it on the record.
Yeah.
It's called Prayer for Dead Actors, and it ended up on like a compilation.
Really?
I think for the Midway, or in the pandemic time.
Oh man, I gotta go hunt that one down.
But yeah, it sounds pretty good. Everyone's like, "Oh, why don't you want this on the record?" And I'm like, "It's no fun record. Well, it's fun, but it's not being bad is fun."
Yeah.
I think that gets lost.
Yeah,
I'm realizing I like music or anything with like a little attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was listening to Amy Winehouse yesterday, and I'm like, man, she's mean. I like this.
Yeah.
I feel like little like and I like peaceful, quiet serene music too, but there's something about in 2024, I want music that twists the knife a little bit.
Yeah, I had this like a pop country singer on like this past year, and one of the things, like, I know her band manager, and he plays guitar in her band, but like one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to her was because like she's putting out these country songs, and they have this like real like attitude / like rock and roll tinge to them. And I had to talk. I was like, I just needed to know like when's the rock and roll record coming? And she laughed, and she's like, soon. So like I could like, she teases it, you know what I mean? And it's that, like, it's like,
yeah, we did one Coffin Salesman EP called Misadventure that was sort of a collection of songs. I'd been playing acoustic for a while, turned up to like rock and roll level, and that was probably the one time where I'm like, oh, this is a detour. The project trajectory looks like this, and we're gonna have a little fun detour into like barroom rock and roll.
CS,
just to have done it.
CS number 4, it says right here.
Yeah.
So,
And we recorded that like right after that first record.
Oh yeah,
like, I had these songs way before most of them. I had like kind of
Mike's
tried
on that
to,
song. It's on the first song, right?
Yeah, I had to try to squeeze those songs in with like some other bands I was doing, and just no one wanted them.
You know what? This one here. So like I don't know. It's funny because like I feel like I have everything from Coffin Salesman, and then I realize I don't. And I know one time you hit me up. You're like, I can just give you this stuff, because I kept like buying this stuff on Bandcamp, which I am totally okay with doing. But the last thing I got that was yours, I think I have everything now, is He Is in My Shadow, There Is No Hiding.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? This was hiding from me, you know?
Why is this here?
Oh, that made it on Struggling Artist Radio, dude.
Yeah, I saw it on the post. Yeah, I was playing a show with my friend and yours, Squally Green Thumb, for Halloween, and he's like, "Oh, I want to like put out a CD," and I'm like, "Okay, why?" And I'm like, "So I guess I'll write a song and try to make it." And that was actually probably my first detour into like atmospheric kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I remember like trying to play bowed upright bass in my basement, just having like a SF58 on like the on the laundry machine. I mean, I think for what it is, I think it got somewhere. But
yeah,
someone told me that song made them like hallucinate spiders, and I'm like, wow, that's the best compliment I've ever gotten.
Yeah, that is the best compliment, especially for that song. That song is like that's like an evil song, you know, like a real dark, real. I liked that one.
Yeah.
So like I said before, you played at my house, and like there were songs. And I'm like, what's the song? You're like, oh, it's not out yet. And then like we go, I get like serious FOMO when I can't see you guys play.
Oh, thank you.
So, but like, a lot of the songs, like there was songs on there, and everyone's like, "What's this song? What's this song?" And then they're going to be songs that are on the new record.
Maybe I'm not sure I played any of those songs, but maybe.
Yeah, you have. Well, not at my house. Not at my house.
Not your house. Yeah. Most of these songs weren't really ready.
Right.
At that point.
But I mean, the title track was like I've heard that a few times at shows. You know,
that was the first one. So it's interesting because that one I actually have a demo going back to like 2018 or 2019, just like a few of us in the practice space just like hitting the riff. And Ryan Kumi wrote that riff, and it sort of like sent direction for where things were going to go. I'm like, oh, this is like...
And that was what, 2019? You said 2019?
Yeah, like 2018, 20. And we never really worked on it. Like we didn't spend a lot of time working on it. But then when me and Ken got back to playing, like we kind of learned a lot more and tried to piece stuff together, and then things started to take more shape. Like I had a demo of the song Wasteland. That's probably the other song we've played the most on this record, and that was the song that really felt like something fresh and different and nice. And I didn't think anyone would be interested in like this slow indie demo I had, and I sent it to Ken, and he thought it was like showed something, and so we jammed it out, and then that became like the song we really locked in on, like as a group. and Dana, who plays clarinet with us now, like only just started playing with us like right before the pandemic, and we didn't really have any time to like figure out how she fits in the band at that point.
Yeah.
And how she fits with Coffin Salesman stuff. Like we did a little remote recording. We did that Mike Caine cover remote, and she plays clarinet and sings. But like we never really knew how to. I didn't know how to play loud music with the clarinet. I think when people heard, oh, you're playing the clarinet, they think like klezmer, like you're doing some kind of like, really dancey kind of thing. Because they heard the old music, which is a little more like that.
Yeah.
And it ends up being like, oh, now the music's much more atmospheric.
Yeah.
In no small way because of her contributions. I also think the music was sort of going that way, but I think that really brought it to a much more unique space.
When I tell people that there's a clarinet in this band that I love so much, and the people are like, what? And I was like, you got to hear it. Like, you got to, it's an experience. And like, I go to your shows and I bring people who haven't seen you guys perform, and I basically just turn and watch them. I do. I watch everybody who I know is going to see you for the first time because they get completely blown away by it. You know, I think like also I want to say you guys go so hard. Like you're like it's I think I've told you this before. Like it's like you're like you're like this like master of puppets or whatever, and like like the whole band just feeds off of your vibe, and they just go just as hard. And I love that. Like I told Jordan from Hell Beach does a very similar thing, much different sound.
They're like, they just go. They're machines.
Yeah,
they're crazy.
You guys are great. I want to say like, I start like counting like how long it is before your glasses fly off, and I think
I got hooks now.
Oh, you do?
So it shouldn't be happening.
I feel
anymore.
like the
Hasn't
show
happened in a while.
The show at the Jungle I saw you guys was like the fastest I've ever seen them fly off. It was like the first like 10 seconds, you know, and they were gone.
Yeah, no, playing has been like a lot more fun since we kind of like learned how to play together, and because like the first record we weren't really playing together. Like Chris didn't own a bass. Like, and by the time we were recording, like the amount of times like the people on the record had even been in the same room, you could probably count on one hand. People just roll in. But this time we kind of spent a lot more time on like the music together. And I wish we could have recorded faster so we could have had something to show for all the shows we're playing. But I think playing all the shows helped us be like more locked in when we recorded. And even now, I think we've learned a lot since we recorded, but I still feel good about like the thing we did together.
So when you recorded the new record, were you guys like did you play together on the record? Or did you guys do separate parts?
So it's very separate. This is probably the most like maximalist rock record I'm ever gonna make in my life. I'm never gonna do it again. But like, yeah, it was very detail oriented. So it's like we did the conventional thing where we kind of like jam out and get like bass and drums. But then we spent like a real long time doing all the other stuff, and like to the point, so this is the first time also like doing what I would call a quote unquote proper record. There's no such thing as a proper record. There's records. That's it.
Right.
But like taking stuff out of the studio and be like, oh, I need to work on this at home. And like raiding practice rooms where Dana works and setting up stuff and be like, okay, we're recording piano now. Like 6 months later for this song we recorded, and then I'm like sitting in my bedroom, like hunched over like a stupid 12 string, hoping the kids downstairs like shut up so like I can get the take clean. And I was like, and it took forever. Part of which was my fault. I wasn't really I was in a very weird time in my life and I wasn't really ready to own it or do it. And it stressed me out the more we pushed it off, because like we had all these songs. I had visions for all these songs and no one else knew except me, because I didn't know how to explain them. Like, oh, this is a piano song. We don't have a piano player in our band. Like, how do I like convey that.
Yeah.
People don't know what I'm talking about till they hear it. Then they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was like, oh, I know what I want to do, and we have to do it this way. I'm not going to not do it. Like I want this to be the thing I want it to be, not something else. And so that kind of, I put probably too much pressure on myself at a time where I couldn't handle it. But yeah, there's lots of layers, lots of different things. And I mean, none of it's for shtick. I mean, maybe some of it a little bit, but maybe there could have been like one or two less chain hits. Yeah. But I don't think so. I don't think so. Someone else might have that opinion. I don't think so.
Right.
So I mean, it's like we do. Like I'm very sincere in the fact that like I love doing stupid ass shit, but not as like a gimmick. I think it contributes to like the sound of the whole thing. So I was ultimately glad we took the time to go to Harbor Freight and then go to Ken's basement where we set up like a wood block with chains and then sit there for 20 minutes while me and Dana pick up chains and throw them down. Like I'm glad I did that.
yeah.
That was worth it. It was fun.
Right.
It was team building exercise.
I think when you do, I feel like it is because like you're gonna, especially if you're like doing it with everybody. So like it's bringing everyone a little bit closer.
But yeah, I mean, it took almost like a year and a half of tracking.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wish it happened faster because like in a dream scenario, I would be like, oh, go in for a week and a half, go every single day, record the record, be done, move on with your life.
Yeah.
That's the way I'd like to work on records. But when you want to collaborate with people that have other things going on in their life besides your silly little music, it's hard to be like, hey, you need to stop your life to do this.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of hard to, you got to balance that. So, but yeah, a lot of it was on me to finish. It just took forever. But now it's finished.
Yeah. So going back to the evolution. So I feel like, probably one of my favorite things that you've done is the venomous blood and drinking with Giles.
Yeah.
And like that, I feel like that was because I think it had a release date of like a 2019.
Yeah, it
maybe
was 2020, like March
2020.
We recorded in 2019, right before our fiddle player Ethan. Left.
Right. So I feel like that, like when I try to explain to people what you guys sound like live, like I have to bring that up because it's probably one of the more harder things you've done. You know,
it's probably the most rock oriented thing.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it was probably the most locked in we had been up until that point.
Yeah,
like if you listen to that compared to like the stuff on the record, you're like, oh, this sounds like they're locked in. Like we've been playing together for a while, and everyone's also just really good, way smarter, attentive musicians than I am. So I kind of just do my dumb little thing, and they make it hard, which is good. I mean, I think that's what brings color to the whole thing, which is why it's not a singer-songwriter thing. I think like if I was doing that, I probably would have never got to experience the music in this way and make music like this.
Yeah,
because I think at least with this new record, I'm not sure how I would describe this music. Like it's rock, you could say it's rock music.
That's. I mean, I think that's how. I don't know how else. Like I think I like when I did the underground noise for Dream of Fire, for the single. I was like, I think I called you like a Doom outfit. Like,
yeah. I mean, and I always wish I was more Doom, but I didn't like play guitar in high school, so the amount of skills I can have are limited. I can't shred. I can't go back in time and learn shredding.
I wouldn't.
Not that you need a shred to play Doom. You actually need to play like super slow, which is why I find it appealing. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's nice because I think you always want to be like moving forward, but you want to be where you're at, being the most you thing you could do. So right now, this is now the most me thing I could have done. Yeah. Whereas on the first record, I felt like at that time, to me, that felt like the most me thing I had ever made.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I'm older, my life's different, and I still appreciate that music and experience. But like now I'm like, oh, this is the most me thing I've ever made. Yeah. And hopefully the next thing continues in that direction. But yeah, it's like I kind of we pull from a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know, people could compare whatever they want. I don't care. But like, I always try to think about music. Like, it's really hard to sell my friends on bands. And I try to describe, there's this Ian MacKaye interview, and I'm not necessarily like a huge fan of like Fugazi's great, but I don't listen to a lot of Fugazi. Minor Threat's okay, but I listen to a lot. There's other hardcore I'd rather be listening to. But that dude just loves to talk. And I found some like interview with him, like talking to some like college student in the 90s. And he's like, people always say like, Fugazi sounds like this. Fugazi sounds like Rage Against the Machine. And in my head, I'm like, who says that? Yeah. But he's like, people always say what a band sounds like another band, but they never talk about like what the music makes them feel. And I'm always like, what does the music make you feel? And hopefully it's something.
Yeah, no,
that's so like I think like in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, like because when people get to comparing bands, they come up with some crazy comparisons. Not for my band, but like when I show someone a band and they're like I was showing someone this like bluegrass band, and the dude's like, yeah, sounds like System of a Down, and I'm like,
what?
But like instead of thinking no, like I could easily be like, no, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, what is in here that is similar that you're hearing? Because there is something,
right?
Because everyone hears things different, experiences things different.
Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, I try not
if someone
to do
makes
that.
Yeah, like but if someone compares something, oh, there's like it's either a cheap way out or they see something that maybe you don't see.
Yeah.
So you got to just be. I'm much happier making music that's not for everybody.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
and so it's like.
I don't see who would not like this album though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think still the favorite thing I've gotten is someone on Reddit when the last record came out was like, he sounds like Pee Wee Herman. I just can't listen to it.
I think you've told me that before.
And I'm like, you know what? That's fine. I'm like, my ideal situation is people really like it and feel away, or people don't like it at all.
Yeah.
Like the most disappointing thing as an artist would be like, that's pretty good.
Mediocre.
That's pretty good. Not even mediocre, but like pretty good.
Yeah.
Like serviceable. Like, and I sort of have that same attitude like on stage. Like not every show is amazing, but like want something to happen.
Well, I must go to all the good shows then, because
I want something to happen. Like,
yeah,
even if it like I take, and as I get older, I take like the opportunity to be up there like very seriously. Like, you know, I've played enough dive bars to two people wearing a suit that it's like it's not it's not an ego thing. Right. But like with the band and everything, I'm always trying to like make something happen, and sometimes to the dismay of my bandmates when I like fall into the drums or something accidentally. But also I try not to like choreograph those movements. It's not like, oh, I'm doing something fun. Like despite playing in a punk band for a long time, this is the most physical music I've ever played because I don't know. Like, I'm trying to just make something happen, but I don't know how I'm going to do it until I do it. Keep joking that Ken's going to stab me on stage, and I'm still waiting for that.
Yeah.
So.
When you played the show in New Jersey,
that was a beautiful like 14-minute set. And I don't mean that facetiously. I mean like I felt that was I think there was a lot of pent up anger. And it was a very assertive like 14, 15 minutes.
Yeah, then we got shut down. But yeah. But like
someone told me, it's like, oh, you were like, I can't believe like you told off the cops. And I'm like, what? I didn't say anything.
You know, you were on stage the whole time.
No, but someone was like, oh, the police are here. I'm like, okay, we'll play like a quiet song for the police. Yeah, I said something like that.
Yeah, you did say that.
And I think that was sincere. I don't think in my head I heard it as like, oh, don't worry, we'll keep going. Yeah. I think that's what other people took it as.
Yeah, I just remember like they were walking up the path and up the driveway, and you were playing, and like I swear you looked right at him and then just face planted into one of the cymbals.
Yeah. Yeah, see, like you wouldn't plan to do that because that hurts.
Right.
And like, yeah.
Yeah, and then they were just like, they were just like, yeah, we're just gonna leave. Like
had I known they left.
Yeah, they weren't like they were talking, and then like while you were still playing, and then you did that, and they were just like, we're just gonna go, just stop or something. They were like they weren't very like pressing. You know what I mean?
So music not for everybody, including state police.
I think that's a 5-star rating.
Put that
right
on
there.
put that on the tagline.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's good to like what you were saying earlier about like kind of like, yeah, you're a vibe. It's a vibe. It's not really like like you I've never been able to be like, yeah, it sounds like this band or I can't even draw like, it's hard for me to kind of like, so I can hear bands and I can be like, when I talk to them, I'm like, hey, like, what do you think of this musician? Because I can hear like the influence in it, and it's not a conscious thing, right? That's a subconscious thing. But with Coffin Salesman, I have no idea. Like I think that might be the mystery of it. Might be one of the reasons why I like the music.
Oh, that's good. I think it's, to me, my problem is that like I'm not a skilled enough technician to do what my influences do. So, and this is actually true of like, I've heard like a lot of other musicians say this, where it's like, oh, I tried to write a soul song and I can't write a soul song. Mm-hmm. So what I got is this whole nother really good song of mine. Cause like no matter how you try and exercise, what comes out is you, unless you're really making an effort to be someone else. I think like there is the danger of like being too into something and then like unknowingly becoming a copycat. Yeah. Because it's like the only thing you listen to. And so like when I'm like, sometimes if you're traveling, playing shows, you can like, there's some people that like only listen to NoFX and you can fucking tell. Like it is like not and I mean, no shame on them. You should do what if that makes you feel good. I'm not trying to be like judgmental or critical of it, but like, I can't play the stuff I like. So, I'm getting better, but like I always like to give like dissonant polls where like in my dream, Coffin Salesman is like the in-between of Trap Them and like Leonard Cohen. But I can't do either of those things. Yeah. Even though now I'd maybe like put The Cure somewhere in there because that was sort of opened the door a little bit. Yeah. For like goth adjacent kind of vibes. So there's like little touches of that on this record, but little chorus pedal here and there.
Yeah. Do you think like in your mind, so you have this record, it's complete and everything, like do you immediately kind of put it away in your brain and go to the next thing? Or do you kind of dwell on this like cuz
both. So I have like really bad tension skills, so I'm always like thinking of 4 different things at the same time. And it's sort of a race to see which gets there first. Okay. So I have like 4 or 5 next Coffin Salesman things planned out in my head, and I'm like, oh, I don't know where to start working, which is probably a bad idea because I should probably finish the work I need to do to get this record out, which is still a little bit left. But I was like, oh no, I'm gonna do this. And I think I was talking to our friend Growler Graves beginning of this year, and we were at a KCF played like a New Year's Eve house show, and I was just saying all this stuff, and she's like, "Yeah, ideas are cheap," and I'm like, "Oh my god, ideas are cheap! I have all these fucking bullshit ideas, and I'm never gonna do any of them." So I'm like, immediately, I like texted the band. I'm like, "Oh, we need to get together and record like this next EP," and then we got together, we started recording some stuff, and now I've had it for like 3 months and haven't worked on it. So I don't know, things. Yeah. I should be better about being linear, but things kind of go at their own pace. But this record was a big project in every way possible, and a pain in the ass in every way possible. And I was just happy to be like, it had to take some focus to like get it over the finish line. And I mean, I want to like, it's like my partner really helped, and Dana really helps, and like people like pushing me to like finish it. Because, I mean, there was a big period of time where I was like, this isn't going to get done. Like, several times where I'm like, we're going to throw the whole thing out.
Really?
Just
What was
stop.
causing that? Was that like a imposter syndrome thing, or was it like something wasn't working the way you needed it to work? And
yeah, I think like I couldn't bring myself to do the work to finish it, and hearing it unfinished just seemed so silly and stupid. And like, but yeah, multiple times I was like, this just can it, just because you've been working on it for too long.
Yeah.
Like, just start. There's something to be said for that sometimes about just like, hey, maybe the thing you're doing isn't working. Maybe you're trying too hard to force the thing to be something.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately I found out that I needed like time away from it to enjoy some like crippling depression and then find some energy to come back and do your fucking work.
Yeah. So that happens with me with things. It happens with me with the podcast too. And like, I'm always like telling Chris, I'm like, this shit's over. It's done. Yeah. Like, it's over. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, he's talked me off that ledge a bunch of times. And I'm not doing it just like because I need him to like push me. I'm doing it because like I'm just at a point where I'm like, this is like, what am I doing?
You're stressing yourself out for what?
Yeah. So it gets and I do that in my writing too much. I wish I had someone to be like, get over there and write. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you need that.
I think part of it also is I'm a terrible procrastinator and I just need deadlines. So like what's good about being in the studio is like, oh, you're here these days. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. But the problem is like when you're really putting in a lot of work, it's like, okay, we can't reasonably get everything finished. It's like we have to find another method to get this finished. Like, and that requires like taking ownership of that task, which sucks for a procrastinator. But what was good is it left no stone unturned in that process where I was like every little thing that I thought we needed or at least wanted to try, we tried, including some stuff we might not have stumbled upon otherwise.
Yeah. I did an interview with this other project, this other podcast that's supposed to be coming back. I'm working with them, and we interviewed this artist, and she was like, I give myself deadlines. That's how I get things. And, you know, like she's like, because I make it happen. Like, oh, I want to do this like book of poetry. Okay, I'm going to do a reading of it on this day. So like she has to get it done and finished. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we did Birth of Flies. It was a lot like that because I had reconnected with Kirk, who played keyboard in the band. And he I had written this piece of whatever and sent it to him like a long time ago. And he it was for like my surprise 30th birthday. Keely got all my friends on like a Zoom call because it's 2020.
Yeah.
And everyone played like a sad song. And then he was like, oh, I'm not going to play a song, but I built this weird soundscape thing for you. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's like really interesting. I was like, hey, maybe we should like do something. And then we went from nothing to a finished product in like a month. Because it's like, oh, it has to be out by like Halloween because it's like, we want to do something kind of creepy, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, we have to be done by this time. And like when you're working like that, it actually takes the pressure off. Because like, I think you think too much. And I mean, that's true of like everyone, like I listen to so many interviews with like songwriters and stuff. And I'm like, everyone says the same fucking thing where it's just like, oh yeah, I woke up and I put on my shoes and I wrote songs today. That's it. I sat my ass down, took out the pen, started writing.
Yeah, once you get going, it's fine. It's like it's also like assembling furniture, right? Like you don't like if you get all these pieces and you're like, I'm never gonna get this done. But when you start it, then it's like, oh, it's easy.
It's interesting because this record has a balance of songs that took me a really long time to find the finish line for them, and some of them were super easy. Like I just sat down, 15 minutes, wrote the song, and some of those songs I think are better. And this happens sort of like every time. It's like, speaking of deadlines, it's like I book the studio time and then I'm like, oh, well, thank God we need 3 more songs for this record. And then I'm like, okay, I just set to work. I write those 3 songs and then, okay, then we're good to go. And those are some of the ones I feel like best about.
It's because you're not in your head about it, right? Like you just all right, I gotta get it done. Let's go.
It's like something's missing. What's missing? Okay, I'll write the thing that's missing.
Yeah,
and it's not bad to treat it that way. It's not like uninspired or whatever. Like the song on the record, "Hammer Down," is like that. It's like that didn't gestate for very long. Like I wrote it at home, and then we had band practice, and I showed it to people, and we played it pretty much the way we play it now.
Yeah.
I think there's something really nice about going in with something that feels fresh. Like it's so much more exciting to record. I think one of the mistakes I made, and it takes a while to work out of, is the longer you sit with songs, the more you have designs on like how they're supposed to sound. So it's like when you're playing a song for a year and you go to record it, you're like, oh, why doesn't that sound like how it is I've been playing it? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But when you just wrote a song, it's still new to you. So like when you go to the studio to do it, it still feels like fun and exciting because you don't know either.
Yeah.
Whereas like old songs, you're like, why am I hitting it that way? Like, did I always do it that way? Then, like you get like really in your brain about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, not the first time. Like the last record was the same thing. It's like, oh, it's time to record. Okay, I got like 2 more songs.
Yeah. Yeah. With
except they were a little less musically fleshed out. But
where did you get the cover of this album from?
Oh, there's photographer Derek Moore. He's based in like rural Pennsylvania somewhere. And I've just been following his art for a while, and I've been sort of thinking about what direction I wanted this to go. And when I saw his stuff, it just kind of clicked with me. I'm like, that's, I don't know why. It just, it made sense. I saw like his stuff, and I reached out to him, and he was willing to, I guess, collaborate. Willing to let my music degrade his art, I guess.
Do you because you've done that, like I mean, all of like the covers of like, whether they're like, you know, they're 2-song EP or a full album in like Birth of Flies, like it's done, it's all different artists, right?
Yeah,
you've used, but like they all kind of fit, like they all kind of fit the.
Yeah, I try to get something consistent aesthetically. It's hard. You don't always. Most artists don't come out fully formed, and so you're bound to have outliers. Yeah, I think it's fair. Some artists, not so much. Like some artists, they're ready. Like they're just like dropped from the sky, like the way they are. And that's not my case.
Yeah,
I wish I could say it was my case. And I thought I was closer because I was like, oh, at the beginning of Coffin Salesman, it's a new thing. I've been playing in bands for a while, but now we're doing Coffin Salesman, and so it already lends itself to something. But even still, I wasn't so smart as to have like a whole design. Things just sort of happened, and so, you're allowed to make mistakes. It's okay. You put out shitty songs. Yeah, it's okay. It's not a sin to put out a shitty song.
Again, I think it all works with the evolution of what's going on. You know, so
yeah. I mean, there's very few artists that have 0 shitty songs.
Yeah,
some.
Do you think the cover art like lends a hand to the vibe of the album, like the song, like the sound and everything?
Yeah, I mean,
do you like or like?
Yeah, it's very decayed.
Yeah,
I guess is sort of. I had a very apocalyptic landscape in mind writing the record, and then that sort of pivoted a little, but never went away. So it got sort of absorbed into like the narrative of all the songs and how they weave together. But it went in kind of a different direction that I was expecting from my original concept record idea. Not to say it's not, but not to say it is. I guess it is. To me, it is. But don't know how I would explain it.
Yeah. I think it's cool that a couple of the songs you've been playing for like a little bit now out, because I know the moment you let me hear it, the record, like I was singing along to quite a few songs. You know what I mean? I think that lends its hand because like for the people who come out to the shows, you know, like
I've definitely seen people react to songs we just play a lot and like no one's ever heard them.
Yeah.
And like that is super flattering. That is like the nicest like compliment you could ever pay a band. Like the Old Edison is like one of my favorite bands, and they have so many songs that never went recorded that people knew all the words to. Like I could play them for you, but like there's no recording of them, and it's somewhat tragic but sort of magical at the same time. I don't know. There's a balance.
That
with
band
that.
was
That's
why I call them like the Boston's best kept secret. Like it was just a phenomenal band that, you know, it was, you know, but yeah, their songs, like, I mean, I only know their stuff that's recorded because I never had the chance to see them, but like their songs, I feel like their songs in like your stuff, like you guys offer that same kind of like that same kind of like it, I don't know if it's interaction from the audience. Or,
yeah, I mean, they did definitely way more so than I ever could. Like I can't write sing along songs, like, not much. Maybe like I just. It's not what comes out of me when I sit down to do something.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Right.
But like I was always a little jealous of people who could do that so like like for them it came such very naturally. But part of that is they're sort of like a gang doing it. So it naturally comes out.
Yeah.
But I think there was like a real serious intent behind like a lot of their writing that's like, or serious intensity that is like, you don't get often, and I think that's why people kind of connected with that band. Like you can tell when people have like deep feelings, and deep pain and things, and I think that's why it's like it's not an act. You can feel the struggle in that music, but at the same time, that's why when they're hopeful, it's actually powerful. Because it's like hard fought hope, which is like really inspiring, and not what I do in Coffin Salesman, because I'm not at a point in my life or where I can do that. I'm not sure if I could ever do that. I'm not even sure that's what I'm trying to do, but I think I definitely react against really cheap hope, and that's sort of been the bit of Coffin Salesman since the very beginning. Like it leaves such a bad taste in my mouth, like hearing Silver Lining on these ex-punk singer-songwriter records. Like I hate it. Like I don't always hate it, because actually some people, I don't know how to explain it. Like some people can do that and it's really powerful. And some people it feels so cheap to me, and I find that like offensive,
like disingenuous, right? Like
it's not even I don't think it's disingenuous. That's the thing. I don't think it's disingenuous. It just to me it feels cheap.
Yeah,
I'm sure for that person it doesn't feel that way. Like
right.
I bet they don't feel that way.
Yeah.
And like I'm not, like I'm trying to, as I get older, I find it makes no sense to like criticize people's art. Like it's fine to have an opinion about art, but like there's this singer Shane Sweeney. He has a line that's it's harder to create than to criticize, and it's true. It's all this time you spent talking shit on the internet, you could have been home writing songs. But or telling people about something you like. But I tried to. But there's some things that just like be in your face, and you're allowed to have a reaction and be uncomfortable with them. And so, in a world that is so like this one. I want to make art that reflects like a certain antagonism, has a certain like bite to it. And maybe it doesn't have the bite I think it does. That doesn't matter. That's just sort of my concept of it. Like, I don't know whether it works. I just know what I'm trying to do and what I'm doing. It's for whoever's on the receiving end, if there is one, to decide if it works. Like it's not my job. But I think there's so much. It feels good just to be able to like fuck it, like. And I think that's one thing I liked. Like when I started, like gravitating towards like heavier music, is there's like completely unforgiving attitude, like no positivity, like extremely negative, extremely bleak.
Yeah.
And that was actually kind of refreshing at the time of my life when I found it, because I'm of the opinion that punk music is always positive. Like, because there's this whole thing where like the media is the message, like that old adage. And so punk music is always about this sucks, which lends itself to believe that things could be a different way.
Right.
Like punk music says, I'm not okay with the way things are. Mm-hmm. Like I would, my challenge would be like, find any punk band that isn't like that.
Yeah.
Off with their heads, people might say it's like the most miserable band you've ever heard, but essentially all he's saying is like, I'm not okay with like living my life like this, or being in a world living life like this.
Right.
And you get that from like pop punk bands, like hardcore bands, the crust bands. They all have and it bleeds over, but they all have an image of the world could be different. And then when you start getting exposed to stuff, and this also like wasn't some of like the stuff I was reading at the time, where I'm like, oh, it's not that I want life to be different. Maybe there's like an inherent problem with the question.
Right.
And I mean, I don't want to go down like a nihilist rabbit hole, because I don't necessarily believe that. But there's something like when you're in a really dark place, really going all the way to that destination, where it's like, oh, it's not that like my life sucks because like my job sucks, or that this sucks or that sucks, but maybe the whole human experience might just be like an incorrect thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
As I say that, I was enjoying my coffee talking to you right now. But I think exploring that feeling, like I don't really do it. My music always comes out not nicer, but not that extreme.
Right.
But I'm always sort of, my head's these days a little more in that direction than like change, or like my life sucks, or the world's. I think there's some relief in just exploring the unpleasant side of the cosmos without looking for a silver lining or a way out.
Right, right.
I think the record in some ways leaves on a negative note, where it's like there's essentially no way out. But it's ironic, because if you take it as like a narrative form, like media is the message, you could argue that like a narrative begets a positive message, no matter how negative the narrative, because there's a beginning, middle, end. It delivers you something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading some like essay about this in like horror fiction, where it's like most horror fiction, as ugly as it is, isn't really bleak, because it takes you through a place that you know and back up out of a place.
Yeah.
Even if the end isn't good, there is an end.
Right.
It's not like you're trapped in like a box forever.
Yeah.
Like the thing has an end, so like the format sort of matters. So I could say all this negative bullshit, but it ends in like a nice place because it ends. Even though what I'm saying is that it doesn't end. Like,
right. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry if I'm getting too fucking...
No.
It's decaf. I swear it's decaf. I'm old. I sold out. I drink decaf. This is why. Imagine me with a cup of coffee. How much worse this would be.
I think, like, I'm thinking about what you're saying, and like I go and I'm in my mind, I'm thinking about my own writing and like my essays, and like, yeah, I don't offer like a way out of it. I don't like, I think about it, like, it's just like, cause some of them are like, you know, some of them are like, it's like one word or a couple words, you know, but it's like, it's all fucking bleak. Like, yeah. I don't see, like, I don't have any hope in there. I don't know. And maybe that's what's been like kind of preventing me from like finishing it and sending it out to my editor. You know what I mean? Like is like that. Like, But I feel like there's a space for it, right?
Yeah, no, there is. And I mean, there's a space for like, we're bleak, we don't fucking care.
Yeah.
And it's funny because then we play shows, it's like very joyous.
It's a lot of fun.
Like, so there's like irony enough to go around, I think.
Yeah.
But I was actually thinking about this, and I don't know why I do this. Maybe because I'm I'm a psychoanalyst myself. I probably do this because I'm too afraid of and too insecure to actually reveal myself to people.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of my songs, I've noticed there's a lot of you. Like I've always had a lot of you instead of like I.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my friends write songs that are very like I, me.
Yeah.
Me and you. And I feel like I'm always pointing the finger away from myself. Or speaking in someone else's voice. Like on this record, there's some I songs, but it definitely is in like a character mode.
Mm-hmm.
And all the ones that aren't are all you.
Yeah.
It's never about how I feel. I think like the music expresses how I feel. I don't need to like say how I feel.
No, I think so. I think in the the performance and the music is
let it do the work.
I think that's why remember I told you I had an idea for a show with your band where it's like an evil like revival tent.
Yeah.
And it's not because of like it's the only reason it's because of like how the performance goes and you do like when you're performing. It is like how a preacher would and I'm not. It's not. This isn't a negative thing at all. But and if you think about it, like a church sermon,
as he stares at all my cross paintings on the piano,
the preacher does like talk at the people, right? Yeah. And that's kind of what you're doing with when you sing with the yous, right? With the you and you. So I think that works, man.
I mean, I don't. Like, it is just very hard for me to write I songs unless it's like really in a place.
Yeah.
Like it's.
I know a band that the only song they can only do like these like sci-fi fiction. Like, do they put elements of like the world into it? Of course. But like, that's how they convey. I like it. I think
there's a place for everything. There's,
and it's direct, right? Like it's not like it's a very direct kind of
this
speaking.
Like whole death metal band I found the other day that just is like Godzilla themed. Like everything's Godzilla, and it's punishing. It's great, but everything's just Godzilla.
That's
there's
awesome. I wonder if they're Blue Oyster Cult fans because of the Godzilla song.
There was this band, like a very notable, like melodic kind of crust band, very doomy sounding, called Fall of Ephrata, and it's all based on Watership Down. And there's actually several Watership Down based bands where the whole band is based on.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, it's this old like it was a book that I have not read and a film which I've only seen a little of. It's like animated film. It's like, have you ever read Redwall, the thing with the mice and they have like swords and stuff? No, I
think so. Yeah.
Well, anyway. Watership Down is essentially like a really doom apocalypse thing, but all the characters are like rabbits. It's like a rabbit den, and they get like attacked and evicted and stuff. And it's like some kind of metaphor for like capitalism.
Right.
But anyway, the point is, there's room for. Like, I'm still waiting to start my really fun band. That's just for fun.
Yeah.
That's just fucking stupid. Like, it's like 15 people on stage.
Yeah.
And like when you see it, you just want to like throw stuff and get hammered. Like, I want to be like, that sounds fun.
You want to be the party band? You want to be a party band?
No, I want to be in a party band. We play like once a year. You know, it's like too many people, like bad sunglasses, like silly suits once a year.
Once
like,
a year. That's it.
That's all I do.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So when this we're recording this before the record's actually out, but it will drop once the record releases. I think that's what we decided.
Yeah.
So you only doing the one single?
There'll be another one.
There will be another one? Okay. So by the time this comes out, there'll be another one. So we won't even get into that then.
No. I mean, yeah. I think to me the record is like one piece.
It is. You know what?
And it's like in some ways in a bad way, because there are some songs that I feel are very dependent on others, and that's okay. I like records like that.
Yeah, I do too.
I like records I've always like the minute I found out that like and I was listening to like this strung out record when I was like came home from the dentist when I was like 15. Suburban Teenage Wasteland Blues, probably one of their more famous ones. And the last 3 tracks feel like one big thing, but it's not as good until you listen to the whole record to get to the last 3 tracks. Then it feels like this big moment. And so, I mean, you can listen to it however you want, but if people want to give the whole record a fair shake, I would respect your time and opinion.
Yeah.
But if you put it on, you don't like it, you can turn it off, listen to someone else.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of music out there.
So you saying that kind of like when I go to a Coffin Salesman show, you guys the track listing is always ordered differently.
Yeah,
and
I get bored. I wish we knew more songs.
But they work though. Like the way you do it, like it's always a different. Like I know I'm going to get a top-notch performance. I'm going to feel something at your shows. But like I know like I'm also going to get like a different kind and it's not that it tells a different story, but like it's almost like it kind of does in a way. Like it's you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of ways you can approach and I think one thing I like about the calling it a project and the people I play with now like are so incredible. That like we can do it a lot of different ways, and so now like we've been playing like this core group of people has been playing together enough that it's like I could just kind of go off on something and be like, oh, let's do it a little bit like this, and we'll just do it.
Yeah.
And like, oh, let's play it like we play at a Porch Fest, and it's like, oh, we rearranged the songs like a little differently just because like it might sound better, it might be more fun,
and then
and like a lot of. Yeah, we've done that with some like the older songs on like the first full record. Like we've rearranged a lot.
Yeah.
So like sometimes we'll play like these big loud versions of these quiet little songs, and I like doing that. That to me is fun.
I want to say like
and there's some songs where we've done them like lots of different ways.
Yeah, I feel like
I try to keep it interesting for me.
I remember telling somebody like I don't know if it was Dream of Fire or Against God, but I'm like they always end with this song and it's killer. And then we got to the show and it was like the first song you played, and I was like, I don't know how they're gonna do this, but you ended it and it was so perfect the way you ended it. Like again, I feel like when you go, it's like going to see a play and you know what's gonna happen, but like. They change everything. You know what I mean? Like it's just. I'm like, yeah, that's why I get FOMO like so bad. Like I'm like,
every show.
What am I gonna miss at this show?
And now when we play like fewer shows, the shows get more different.
Yeah,
and so it's like I always wish that like I was playing more. My life ebbs and flows like that. So there'll be like, it's okay. Like there are periods of time where I play a lot, and then periods where I don't play a lot. But the one thing I'll say is that people are not anymore, but like when I was younger, people were very derisive. Is that a word? I don't know. About like quote unquote local bands versus like touring bands. Cause it's like, oh, you're a proper band if you go on tour. Like and you know, fine, whatever. I don't care. Well, I do actually. But like I saw so many bands that dress the same, sound the same, sound pretty good. Like they're pro. The merch display is pro. They got a van. They got good gear. They sound pretty good. Don't remember any of the fucking songs. Those bands don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So like one, trying to do something sustainable, whatever that means. And then two, try to do something interesting. So it's like, I remember I had this aha moment. I was playing a show at Tavern at the End of the World in Charlestown. Yes. I don't know why it took me so long to say that.
Isn't there one in New Hampshire too?
No, it's just the one.
Oh, is it just the one?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
It's not franchised. It's gotten a lot nicer and it's kind of strange. Like it's a little less dark than it used to be, and we're kind of off put by that, but we love the people that work there. But anyway, I was playing a show, I think, like when I was still just playing solo acoustic most of the time. And there was like an open mic after, and I'm just watching the open mic, and there's this guy go up, he sings really quiet, the song's really goofy, it's kind of silly, I don't really know what he's doing. It's not like moving me in any type of way. But I'm like, you know what? This guy's probably thought about this 10 minutes he's going to be up here like all fucking week. Like he's thought about it. He's probably been at work on his lunch break, like laboring over like how to do this and like investing all this time and like mental energy to go up and do it. And that to me is like way more interesting than like necessarily a well-oiled machine. Not to say that I don't love a band that can come rip. We talk about like Hell Beach. That's a band that they're a machine. Like they go conquer, they steamroll cities. That's like what they do. Like it's amazing to watch, but also the music and the songs are really good to like back it up. They're not just a machine with, it's not just a brute force exercise.
Right.
Like, but like I love that. I'm like, oh, it's like now I know like the kind of musician circle I've fallen in with. They actually kind of treat it the same way. Like your friends in hell and like Thou Merciless Graves. It's like, oh, they might play a show a quarter, even though they play. I think now they're playing way more than we do. But like,
they've been busy too.
Like, it's like this is a little like sort of past my experience level, but like spending months building a show, like months, like really working. Scheduling a time and work and really delivering like a performance,
an immersive experience,
I think,
right?
I think I'm not really totally capable of that. Like, cause there's the inner stupid punk in me at all times that's just like, oh, it's rock. You gotta rock. You gotta rock.
Yeah.
And it's not just that. I wouldn't know how to do that in a way that feels at this point like me.
Yeah.
Like I love what other people deliver, but I'm not trying to deliver what other people deliver. I'm trying to be myself, you know? So I think like it's most important to like use the method and the tools like how you want to. And I love being around people that use them in like a totally different way that I'm used to. Cause I'm like, oh, this is like, you could do something totally different. You could just cause, you know, like, I think so many bands live in like, oh, we can't do that land. Where it's like,
why not?
You could, and I'm like really bad at this because Chris Jackson, who plays like bass and Coffin Salesman, is also like really accomplished as a saxophone player. So I'm like, we could just put some on the record.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, not practice, not rehearse. There's like, we should record some. Like, bring your saxophone. Like, we'll record it.
Yeah.
Just because.
I love
like
his
other
sax.
bands.
He's really good on
other
it.
bands I've been in, like, we'll be like, oh, well, we can't do that because we have to, like, make the song. Like, I'm always the person with, like, the really fucking stupid idea. that when it works, I'm always like, ha. Like, also, when I was recording with KCUF, I really, like, insisted that they use this, like, phaser. Yeah. And it ended up that the phaser had this sick distortion that everyone was looking for. I'm like, I got to have my flowers, too. But that's a whole different... That's not my podcast.
I need to say this though. Like when you're like, oh, you would never be able to do that. Like where they put like they take everything like they put months into like making this thing, this like almost like a production, right? But like you did Birth of Flies, and like that is very much in that realm of like a different thing, right? A different project, and or not a different project, but like it's a different. Like, if I'm not going to tell someone to go listen to your band for the first time, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's sort of like, I don't mean to compare this to this record because it's not as good as this record, but it's like, it's sort of like my Nebraska a little bit. So Springsteen has Nebraska, his really sparse, lo-fi, incredibly bleak, crazy person record. It's just him sitting in a cabin, like recording on the boombox. And there are people who love that record, won't listen to anything else he does. They're like East Street Band stuff. I don't really like it that much. And like East Street Band fucking rocks. They're like the best rock and roll band ever. But people will be like, no, I like Nebraska. I don't like this. And people who like that stuff always don't like Nebraska. Sort of. I was happy to have done that because I was like, oh, this is a line in the sand about like very much music that might very much not be for you. You know, and I was on top of liking how it sounds, I was happy about that. And I did pull a lot of lessons from that experience into like this new record.
I think so. Yeah. I can see that.
But it was, and it's weird because once in a while I got like an extremely sweet message like a couple weeks ago from this guy in France, I think, who found Birth of Lies and wrote me this whole nice letter about how like amazing he thinks it is. And I don't think he's heard any of our other music,
right,
or
right.
will.
Yeah.
But I mean, I actually like that. Like that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Like
I think it has its place. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, when I first heard it, it reminded me of like when I was.
I mean, people in my band don't like it, so it's fine. You know? Like, not everything has to be. For everybody,
yeah. I remember when I was a kid, I would have like the like, it would be like the spooky house sounds or something.
Oh yeah, I have a record of spooky house.
Do you
sounds.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like it reminded me of something like that, like something you could put on for like an ambiance thing, and it gives a specific vibe. Right, it's like this is gonna be a bummer.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I like that. Now it's again,
but
like
it's similar with like horror movies and stuff. Whereas there are some people who like obsess about it, and some people who literally can't watch it. They're like,
Right.
I'm not interested. Like I don't like it. I won't watch it.
What was that thing you brought to one of our round tables? The ambiguous research.
Yeah, the ambiguity research. I have their tape. It's very, very
ambiguity research. That's this was like that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but actually, like I'm super interested in like music like that, like literally experimental. Right? It's just noise, noise drone, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
like. It's most interesting because that's 100% like how do you feel when you're listening to it? Like, and there are some noise artists and drone artists that I don't find effective, and I think that's like the worst thing I could say about them is I'm like, oh, this doesn't take me anywhere.
Yeah,
like if it makes me feel sleepy or if it makes me feel anxious or it makes me feel horrified, those are all like good things because I'm feeling something.
Yeah.
In 2024, where like access to feelings is limited.
Like I probably wouldn't listen to it like and do shrooms or something. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I've never done shrooms, but that has been like on my radar of like things I kind of want to just be like, oh, jump in.
Yeah. You gotta have like, especially as an adult, you need like specific moods.
Yeah, I remember it clicked for me when I had this record and I was listening to it, and it's sort of like strange and scary and a little noisy, a little ambient, and then the record clicked at the end. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, when it stops, like you almost don't notice what's going on,
Right.
until it stops.
Yeah.
Like I think that's super interesting, and I don't think mood. I think what I like about the new record is it has more mood. Like the other one might have more rock or speed or more this that, but this has more like.
No, this is
there's like around like the midpoint of the record because we kind of. You kind of trick the listener where you're like fast short song, and then like, oh, mood piece.
Yeah. No,
so if you make it to the middle, you're like, oh, okay. You kind of lull for a little bit, and I like that.
I've listened to this thing so many times since you sent me that link, and it's weird. So when I play the link from the link,
yeah,
like if I'm in my car, it never changes the song. Like it just.
Oh, that sucks.
So no, it never tells you like what song is next.
Oh, yeah,
it just
goes,
yeah. So again, that goes back to what you're saying. They fit with each other so well, and I think by the time you get to the end of it, it's like, whoo, it's an experience. I think you took. Again, from the beginning of this podcast, when I said that it was an evolution of your music, like I see different of your albums, like how they all fit into this, you know?
I appreciate that.
I think that's, man, I think this is, I can't,
I'm excited for it to be done.
I can't wait for the next thing. Like I am constantly I can't
lots of small things on the horizon.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure what the next big project is. I do know what the next 5 small projects are.
Yeah. So are you gonna with this one, are you gonna do any kind of like short runs or anything like touring wise or
I don't know. It kind of comes out late in the year, so we're trying to book some shows. We'll probably get more at it the beginning of next year. It's weird. We sort of went backwards. I feel like we did the effective what would be support of the record before the record came out. So I feel like we did a lot of playing on these songs already, but there's a few of them that have never seen the light of day or the stage of day. And so getting those out will be nice.
Yeah.
I'm always worried about a record coming out when people have heard too many of the songs.
Yeah.
Like I don't like that when that happens to me. So hopefully it is okay for those people who have seen us a bunch of times. But I think there's enough.
I'm sure it will be.
I think there's enough surprises, or not surprises. I think there's enough elements that are hopefully keep it interesting.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a record should be. It's good if you continue to like it after you cease to be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So like once you get used to like, oh, this song has that cool thing that I never heard before, then you're like, oh no, I hear it all the time. Like there's some records that I find like you get this a lot with like extreme music where like, oh, it's really crazy. And then when you listen to it again, it's not really crazy. So hopefully like the songs are good. And we're not trying to make something like that, but
right. The songs
I actually like.
Trust me, like I said, I was singing along, and I'm like, Jesus, like I know these songs. This is awesome.
I like the songs that are more growers. I'm a deep cut person. Like I love deep cuts. Never played the venue, but hopefully eventually. But
it's a nice venue.
It is nice.
Yeah,
it is nice.
Very nice venue.
It feels like Harper's Ferry to me.
Yeah.
And someone's like Brighton Music Hall. I'm like, no, I said what I said.
Where can people find you? Find the band on social media?
So we're on Instagram.
Yep.
On Facebook. Find Coffin Salesman at those places. CoffinSalesman.bandcamp.com.
I feel like if you Google
CoffinSalesman.net.
Ooh, I didn't know about that.
I'm working on building the web. It's there. It should hopefully be more there by the time this comes out. Yeah.
I know if you type in Coffin Salesman in Google,
there's a movie.
Is there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of
yeah.
movie.
But like when you're typing it into the search bar, it like musical artist comes up.
Yeah, it's good. No one else has taken the name.
Yeah,
that's another good litmus test. But if I had to sign off with something, I would just say it's always Coffin Salesman. It's never Coffin Salesman.
Yeah.
Not now, not ever.
Yeah.
It's never the Coffin Salesman. You can call it the Coffin Committee.
Yeah.
You can call it Coffin Salesman Solo. You can call it whatever you want, but there's some.
What did you call it one time? Like Coffin Salesman Light or something?
Yeah, we have the Gloom Trio, which is me, Chris, and Dana.
Yeah.
Where we just play woodwinds, and I really like that.
Yeah.
Me and Ken have played as a two-piece. We haven't tried every configuration yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Awesome.
And then I think if I had anything else to say about this record, it's like there's a lot of I have a brother, I don't hate him, I don't want to kill him. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So please don't read in. If you're listening closely, please don't read into that.
Arya, thanks for inviting me here and to talk about the band and the new record. And
yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be on.
You got to come back sooner than 2 years.
Yeah, well, I'll bring some crazy music to the round table.
Yeah.
Or maybe we just need to release something soon.
There you go.
Next year, my year of EPs, we can.
Oh, that would be awesome. Like put out 5 EPs.
Maybe not one a month, but maybe every other month.
An EP every other month.
I think you do an EP every other month.
I'm here for it.
There's this rapper, Mickey Diamond. He did I think at least a dozen records in 2023.
Wow.
I was following along and I'm like, what?
Wow. Squally did that, didn't he?
Yeah, Squall did an EP a month.
Yeah. He did that, for all of 2020.
Yeah.
Good.
It's doable. It's possible.
It is. It's
not for everybody, but
Arya, thanks again.
All right, thank you.
All right, and that's the show. I want to thank Arya again for being today's guest on the Struggling Artist Podcast. In the show notes, you will find links to Coffin Salesman. Check out the new record. It's phenomenal. I want to thank Chris Chavez and Jeff Bousquet for being producers of the Struggling Artist Podcast. Find them on Instagram. Jeff would be at JRB Image, and Chris would be at 716 The Sound. Follow both of those accounts. See what they have going on. They're phenomenal artists in their own sense. I want to thank State Line Records for being sponsors of this podcast for all these years. Much appreciated, Mark. And I want to thank all the people supporting us over at Patreon. If you want to become a patron, head to patreon.com/podcast TSA. Check out the fees. They are inexpensive, and it helps us grow with equipment. It helps us grow with putting on events. If we do put on an event, all patrons become executive producers of said event. That's pretty cool, right? That's pretty nice. And like we do other things from time to time. Multiple shows, podcasts on the Patreon as well, exclusives with videos and all that fun stuff. So check it out. Thank you to everybody who listens, texts, calls, and emails. If you want to know what I mean by text and call, an email, you could do one of the three. You could text us at 774-570-1552. That is the Struggling Artist hotline. You could also call that same number, 774-570-1552, and leave us a voicemail, and we will play it on the air. Now, if you prefer to stick to, electronic mail, email, you could email me at trev@thestrugglingartistpodcast.com. Time to get out of here with a tune. Arya was kind enough to, you know what? Hold on. Arya was kind enough to give us a song to play at the end of the episode. However, he told me to pick, and it's so hard for me to pick my favorite song. Not even my favorite song. Like this album, Up and Down is so phenomenal. It's 10 tracks of goodness. But I was tasked with the job of picking one of the songs. So, what do we do here? All right, we're going to play the song Prayer Hands off of Coffin Salesman's latest album, Dream of Fire. Until next week, take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you then.
Tooth and nail, we stay on solid ground. And I guess we survived the war, but now there's no one around. We're just two birds of prey, and we're holding out for a better day that'll never be found. So keep your hands steady now. Keep your hands steady.